you type ch:42, and Go handles the rest. You've written this 1,000 times, but executing this one line triggers roughly 700 lines of complex Go runtime code. Underneath is the hchan struct, a single mutex lock, a circular buffer, and 2 wait queues for parked senders and receivers. It's a rendezvous point, aligning 2 separate Go routines at a single moment to exchange data. The struct tracks the state of the exchange, while the mutex ensures only one Go routine modifies it at a time. Every send and receive operation begins by acquiring this lock. This layout determines how the runtime manages memory and scheduling. If you mismanage these wait queues, you get Go routine leaks. If you hit the mutex under high contention, your CPU profile will show the bottleneck. In a standard buffered send, the sender Go routine acquires the mutex lock, copies its value into an open slot in the circular buffer, and unlocks. If the buffer is full, the sender enqueues itself into the send queue, entering a passive state to wait. System design interviews often ask why the Go team built this with a mutex instead of a lock-free design, which seems faster for high-throughput concurrency. The difficulty lies in the wait queues. Managing the transition where a sleeping Go routine is safely awoken without losing data requires complex logic. A short, precise mutex lock is safer and provides predictable performance for the vast majority of Go workloads. Because the sender copies data into the array, and a receiver later copies it out, the buffered path requires 2 separate memory moves. This makes the buffer a storage compromise for when Go routines cannot meet synchronously. On an unbuffered channel, the synchronization happens immediately. If a receiver arrived first, it is already asleep inside the receive queue, holding a pointer to a specific memory destination on its own stack. When a sender arrives and takes the lock, it sees the sleeping receiver. At this point, the buffer is ignored. The sender copies the value directly from its own stack into the designated pointer on the receiver stack. The data moves without ever touching the circular buffer. The sender marks the receiver as runnable, releases the lock, and continues. This requires only one memory move and one wake-up call. This direct physical handoff is what powers Go's memory model guarantees. Because the sender cannot return until the copy is complete, the receiver is guaranteed to see the data exactly as it was sent, without needing additional atomic fences. By skipping the intermediate step of the buffer, the unbuffered rendezvous becomes a highly efficient way to transfer ownership of data. Closing a channel triggers a broadcast. The runtime takes the lock, waking up every parked receiver, handing them a 0 value. Parked senders are handled differently. A sender asleep in the wait queue wakes up and immediately triggers a process-wide panic. This behavior is why Go patterns insist that only a sender should close a channel. If a receiver closes it while other Go routines are still trying to send, the resulting race condition will crash the entire binary. If a sender enqueues its data and the receiver never arrives, that sender remains in the wait queue indefinitely. Its stack memory is pinned to the hchan struct and cannot be reclaimed, causing memory usage to climb as more Go routines become stranded. When you're asked to explain an unbuffered send, the sequence is the answer. The sender takes the lock, checks for a waiting receiver, performs a direct stack-to-stack copy, wakes the receiver, and unlocks. Visualizing the channel as a struct of locks and queues replaces the abstraction of a pipe with the reality of how the runtime manages memory. That mental model is the foundation for writing leak-free, concurrent Go systems.